YouTube Mandem, it is Multiplier here with an unusual video, different to the norm, because I'm not telling you how to make something or how to improve your tracks or get bare loads of SoundCloud followers and all the honeys, groupies, etc. It's all about just something you may find interesting about Serum, because you may have guessed from previous videos, because I've said it a million times now, Serum is the future. Serum is the best synth that's ever been made, and it's the only thing I really design presets from scratch in anymore, because, I mean, it just does pretty much everything you need. It's basically perfect, apart from a few minor little details. So I figure, why not put out those little improvements into the universe, and maybe they'll make their way into the plugin. Now, I should also probably just email these to Steve, but you know what? You guys may find them interesting too. So I thought, you know what? Let's do a video about the 3 things that Serum needs to something or other. I don't know. Haven't thought of the title of this video yet, but you probably know because you can just look at it at the top. Anyway, what are these 3 things that I think Serum needs to improve? Granted, it's worth saying that right now it's still really early days for Serum. I'm on the 1.093 build, February 2016, so you never know, maybe by the time you're watching this in the future, some of these don't apply. Anyway, that's just a lot of talking. Let's actually get into the content. What are the 3 things that I think Serum needs? First of all, number 1, nodes on envelopes. I think just like FM8, you should be able to draw in nodes into the envelopes, and then you could draw interesting shapes. I mean, I know you can draw in nodes in the LFOs, and that's one of my favorite things about Serum, but you can't do that with the envelopes. You can't insert your own nodes. You just got normal ADSR or AHDSR technically, but you can't right click like on FM8. You can't double click. You can't insert your own little nodes. And I wish you could. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're saying, but Multiplier, you can just kick the LFOs into envelope mode. But it's not the same, because then when you let go, you don't get the release. So I know it's okay. It's better than nothing. The fact you have LFOs with an envelope setting, so it just triggers like an envelope. But then the LFOs don't actually sustain at a particular position and then release and follow something else. So you don't quite get the full effect of an envelope. It's like it, but it's not quite enough. I want to insert nodes in the envelopes because that would be dope. So anyway, yeah, insert nodes into envelopes, Steve. I believe in you. You can do it. It can't be that difficult, I can't imagine. So yeah, do that. That'd be rad. Next thing that Serum needs is, I wrote this down, better distortion. I didn't need to write it down. I knew this off the top of my head anyway. Right, better distortion. Because you've got a distortion module in Serum which has loads of settings, like all of these dudes, got pre-post filtering, you can choose different types of filter, all that kind of stuff, but it just doesn't quite sound that good to my ears. Yes, you can get quite average results quite easily or quite difficultly. But yeah, I never get great sounding results, and considering how amazing everything else sounds, especially the filters from a sonics and audio engineering point of view, I just wish the filter was better, to be honest, because especially genres like dubstep, drum and bass, trap 808, anything that relies on distortion for the main part of the track, I don't know, I just have to use third-party plugins like Devastor and Trash 2 to do my distortion. I just can't get great results inside of Serum, so I don't know what the solution is. To be fair, I've never seen great distortion built into a synth, only as separate effects. Maybe it's possible, maybe it's not, I don't know, but just an idea, just something to potentially work on. Steve, if you're watching, yeah, just some nicer sounding distortion. Either that or I'm missing something, but I don't think I am. I spent far too long with this thing. Well, not far too long, I've just spent an awful long time with this. And yeah, I can't get good results with the distortion. So yeah, as a little bonus actually, so yeah, this video will contain useful information for those of you that have got to this stage. I personally get better distortion results if you just want a nice, warm kind of thickening up of the sound, not aggressive dubstep distortion, nothing too crazy, just a bit of a thickening up, a bit of a warming up of the low end in particular. Try using the drive in the filter module, which is basically doing saturation. It just sounds a lot nicer, so that's how I do most of my distortion if I have to do it inside of Serum. And yeah, I think I tried to analyze it one day. It's similar to tube distortion, just looking at the way the harmonics pop out with drive. So yeah, play around with that. There you go, useful information as well as just stuff that I say. And yeah, we're up to number 3. Idea number 3 that I think Serum needs. I can remember this. What was it before I look? Something about something. Oh yeah, a funner way to experiment with LFOs. Because the LFOs are a huge part of designing sounds, pretty much no matter what genre you make, especially in dubstep, drum and bass, anything where you need to do a lot of modulation. In fact, most genres you need to do a lot of modulation. Future bass, that needs modulation. So yeah, anything you need to do modulation in, you end up using these LFOs an awful lot, whether or not you use them like, I don't know, just simple or complicated styly, doesn't matter. Anyway, you use LFOs a lot. That's just something that happens in the universe. You all know that anyway. What am I getting to? It'd be quite nice if there was a fun way to experiment with different LFO shapes without having to just manually program it in. Or, I mean, what I've currently been doing is just building up a bank of my own LFO shapes so I can hop through the user ones, go burp, does something cool. I can go, nah, let's try a different one, burp, does something cool, nah, try a different one, etc. But there's at least 2 or 3 seconds between. Even if I'm really quick, it takes me forever to click through all these pre-made things. Not to mention I've had to make all these initial shapes myself, so it'd be quite nice if there was a fun way to generate a random LFO, just like how you can generate random performer shapes in Massive. Granted, you're a little bit limited to some extent with Massive, but it's still pretty cool, and you can generate random performers. It'd be quite nice if you could either, so I'm giving you 2 options here. I know one of these would be easy to program, Steve. So one way could be just to generate a random LFO. That might be quite complicated to figure out the parameters and stuff, but maybe, yeah, generating a random LFO so you can hit a button loads of times and just pick the thing that jumps out. Or, this would be easier to program, I know it, is if you already have a bank of LFO stuff, like I'm in the middle of making a huge set of LFO shapes, what would be cool is to just have a simple up and down arrow, just like you have for wavetables and presets. So you can just hit an arrow over and over again, and that goes through that particular bank of LFO shapes. And therefore, you can have a whole bank full of maybe different styles of modulations. Maybe you have a bank of modulations for, I don't know, dubstep wobbles, and then you have a different bank of modulations for attack envelopes, for weird little bubbly sounds, or maybe a different bank for just smooth modulations, just to give something a bit of movement, but in a non-predictable way. I don't know. Just some ideas. I think that would be cool. Just a nicer way to move through those LFOs. Again, I'll say it one more time because I do love Serum. That's being incredibly picky. But at the same time, when you have something that's 99% amazing, wouldn't it be sweet if it was at 100? That's all I'm saying. Anyway, yeah, they are my thoughts on Serum, and there was even a useful little bonus tip included, and I'm not even going to tell you what it sounds like because you have to do this for yourself. I'm going to tell you again. If you want to do just some nice, normal distortion, nothing too crazy, just thickening up the low end, giving it a bit of weight, adding in a few normal harmonics, try using the drive in the filter module because you use the filter anyway. And then, yeah, just use the drive control. It just sounds nicer to my ears. I don't know why. I don't know if it's placebo effect. I don't think it is. I've spent a lot of time doing, I mean, I've got a whole pack of Serum Heavy Bass Essentials linked below if you like bass sounds and you want loads of those for your music tracks. Yes, I spent a lot of time dealing with sounds that need distortion, and I figured out that this drive control does sound nicer. And you know what? Bonus tip number 2, if you want to use this little filter drive trick to add in the drive from the filter module, but maybe you don't even want to do some filtering, check this ish out. I've no idea why this is the case. For some of the filters, I don't know if it's a glitch or not, you can choose the filter, let's say just this one, low 18, let's choose I know this one definitely does it, MG low 6. So you just choose the initial one, crank down the mix, so the filter isn't doing any filtering, but then the drive still works for driving. So if you do that, just crank down the mix, turn on the filter module, turn up the drive, then you've got a nicer, more normal distortion tingling built into Serum. How's that for some knowledge and information for your brains? Enjoy Serum. Sweet.